All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the fifth episode of DevMar Dots, where we get to interview DevRel experts and get to learn from their experience. And today we are going to be talking about how to build an online presence and networking. And our guest for today is Jason Torres.
Hello.
Jason, hi, and thank you for coming up. Thank you for joining us today. Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your journey?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you so much for having me. You scare me when you use the word expert, um, because that gives such a high expectation of what I'm certainly about to let you down with. But anyway, I appreciate being here. Hey, I'm Jason. Um, I spent 15-ish. I say 15. It's somewhere around there. I'm not really sure the exact amount of years in the film industry. I was a unit production manager in film and television and commercial work. After that and the pandemic hit, I transitioned into tech. And I've been working sort of as a freelance developer advocate slash community manager once we started the tech commute spaces, and it's sort of evolved. And I just recently also coordinated. I'm still trying to figure out what the title is for like making a conference. We did our first virtual conference last week, which was really successful and was an awesome showing of community outreach for one of our own. So that's me. Hey.
Also, yeah. So, right now, I would love you to tell us about a bit about your roadblock. So, if you've faced any obstacle getting to where you are now.
Uh, yeah. So, where do I even begin? There's lots of roadblocks. I would say the biggest one for me in my journey, because I've been doing this for about a year, um, was time management. I work full time and I have a family, and trying to allocate enough hours in a week to sustain momentum in learning or building or doing anything has really been hard. One thing that's really held me accountable though is just engaging online, like building in public and doing like my learning in public and talking about it publicly, because I guess subconsciously for me, it's making me continue because I feel that I have to keep doing it to report in, to show the updates and show the progress. So I think subconsciously that's helped, but that's been a huge roadblock for me. Um, Recently, my most recent roadblock is learning debugging and testing, because that was something that we talked about in Gridiron Survivor, which is a project that I'm working on with Shashi and a really awesome team. But I can talk more about that later. So I guess coming into situations where I haven't learned stuff yet has definitely been a roadblock, and finding time to learn has been a roadblock with such a busy life, as most people can relate. I see Michael's here. Hey, Michael.
Yeah, and also shout out to Michael because he was the one that suggested this episode.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's
Yeah.
awesome. He's a good
So Yeah. So before we continue, how about you tell us a bit more about the projects you're working with Shashi? How were you able to join the team?
guy. Yeah. I had reached out to Shashi way back. I think it was last summer, because he was talking about the Gridiron Survivor project that he was putting together. He had filled the amount of slots that he had allocated for the project as far as like bringing people in, and the whole thing was set up for um, career pivoters or career transitioners, whatever, new devs, people that are looking for work or newer to the industry that are looking for the exposure to. Sorry, that was a really loud truck. Looking to get exposed to a real project type environment, because a lot of times, and one thing that I specifically I have a deficit in, is working in a team environment like you would if you were at a company where you have sprints and there's meetings and there's expectations. There's a whole process. And one thing when you're like self-taught or even going through a lot of boot camps, the curriculum doesn't facilitate that type of learning. So a lot of the people on the team that I'm working with are coming into situations like the testing and debugging and sprint reviews, that we've never learned. I never learned any of that through 100 devs in the cohort that we're in. Um, so it's a great exposure to what working in a real team environment would be for us. And he had filled the slots, so I couldn't get in back in the summer when everything was starting. But then a few people had to drop off because they ended up getting jobs. So a few positions opened up, and he remembered, thankfully, that I was interested, and I still was. So he brought me in, and that's how that started. I think one thing, and that was a roadblock for me too, was that the team had already established a workflow and a rhythm. So coming into something that's already existing was a little bit of a challenge for me. But I feel like eventually I kind of got into the groove and stuff like that. So I was able to get a couple tickets done. Um, it's really been an awesome experience though, but that's how I got involved with it. So
Yeah, that's really amazing. I mean, so it means that from now on, if I see a project that I like, I can reach out to them, show my interest, and hopefully I get to build that project with them.
yeah, it's it certainly speaks to, again, like community and networking. If I hadn't started interacting with Shashi, following what he's doing and engaging, and he's seeing what I'm doing, so he can see that my level of experience is enough to qualify me to potentially be on the team. Um, that never would have happened. So again, it's just sort of a testament to kind of doing the things that a lot of people talk about with building in public and networking and stuff like that.
Yeah, true. I think I have to agree. So speaking about building in public, learning in public, how
Mhm.
did you get started in that?
Yeah. So when I started 100 Devs back in, it was like, I want to say it was like November of last year. Well, no, I guess the year prior. It was 2022. Sorry, we're still kind of early in this year. So in 2022, one of the biggest things that Leon talks about is the networking aspects. And I wasn't on any social media or anything like that when I started 100 Devs. I had accounts years ago, but I just got off of social media. It was just too much. One of the first things that I did then was start an X account again and connecting with people in 100 Devs, and then connecting with other tech Twitter profiles that had content that I was interested in. And I started seeing this building in public tag and people talking about their work. And I thought, for me, building in public was really more to just document my journey for myself, to show the progress. But then as I'm interacting and engaging with more of the accounts, I'm seeing the benefits of doing it, where people are giving you information, seeing what I'm building, and then maybe giving me some feedback on it so that I can fix something or make something better. Um, Iteration through the community has been cool like that, and that's been really helpful. It teaches me things too. So just, it's evolved, and then seeing the benefits of doing it is why I continue to do it and really focus on it. So that was one of the things, the 3 mornings that I get to get in front of my computer and do some work, is showing all the things that I'm doing. And hopefully it also just helps other people kind of keep motivated. I think that's always been something that I wanted to do with building in public and learning in public, is if I make a mistake, maybe somebody will see it and they can avoid it. So learning from my mistakes can help other people as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, when I became active on Twitter, because that was around 2021, I heard of tech Twitter and I thought that that's like a separate app on Twitter, like a separate group or something. And I just started connecting with people in the tech industry, people that code, people that design. And after 4 5 months, I found myself in tech Twitter.
Hmm.
Then I started seeing the building public hashtag, learning public hashtag, and I think I have to agree with you. That's like an amazing way for someone to inspire others, and for me to share with a wider audience that this is what I know, this is
Hmm.
currently what I'm learning, and yeah, that's
Yeah. No, it's awesome to hear everybody's experience with it because that we are all in the same communities, but we all have different stories that connect us. Your interaction with tech Twitter or what you're doing on tech Twitter is different than what I do, but it all still is the same thing. So it's cool to see everybody's unique spin on that thing. Um, yeah, I'm always curious how people sort of get into the circles because back when I got onto the Twitter, I didn't know who anybody or anything was. It's you don't know the right people to follow, you don't know the right accounts to engage with. So I just sort of, went with the flow and kind of built a little bit of a community for myself, and that was one of the things that I initially just immediately started was doing spaces. I think that's one of the first things I started doing when I was on X is listening to the spaces. And I want to say it's the 6 degrees of separation of Sean Charles, who I don't know if you're familiar with him. He does The Hunt. Um, he is affiliated with 100 Devs. So he was one of the first people that I connected with on X, and he does his space. And then it all kind of went from there. I started hanging out in the Hunt. I started interacting with people that were in there, started engaging with them. And then I did my own spaces, which is how the tech commute evolved.
Oh, wow. That's nice. I think I will have to check out more about the community one of these days.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have you. I see you pop in every now and again. It's tricky because the the tech commute time for a lot of people that aren't in my time zone is challenging because it's a lot later for you and people over in Europe and stuff like that. The reason that it's when it is because when it started was when I get out of work every day. So it's called the tech commute because I'm literally commuting home from work when we were doing it. It's adapted since then because I leave work earlier now, so I'm home. But so we kept the name, but that originally is what started it, and that's why it was called that. I would love to do it earlier, but now that we have sort of a consistent time slot, I want to keep keep to that. But we record everything, so you can always check them out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Please, can you share the link so I can share it with the audience as well?
Yeah, we actually have the website. I'll send you that and you can get right to the spaces there. Oh, apparently my YouTube's not connected. Bear with me here.
All right.
Um, which is also something, that through building community and engaging with people, we started the actual site, which this is all open source. It says this comment has failed to post. All right. Well, I'll send it to you in the back channel here and you can post it up. Um,
All right.
when we started it and it started growing, we wanted to keep having beneficial features for the community because it was for us to learn and to grow and to meet new people and again just expand this community of people that are in the same area of progress and learning as us, so we could all sort of just travel together. Like our community was based on new people in tech. Um, so one of the things again with building in public and open source and learning together was starting our own open source project. So our website is all open source. The repository is public. You can get in there, put a ticket in, work on it. We do all of that so that people that don't have experience or are looking for good first issues and stuff like that can get into it and work in an environment that maybe doesn't have as much pressure as some of the bigger ones. So I'll put
Oh,
the repo in and you can post that too. But
all right. So I think let's just deviate away from building in public. So when I
yeah.
reached out to you, you said that you were a freelance developer advocate. So can you like share a bit about why you decided to become a developer advocate and how building an online presence can help someone that is getting started in developer advocacy?
Yeah. So I don't know that I necessarily decided like myself, like consciously said, I'm going to do this. I think it's just sort of evolved. Um, my advocacy, or at least to the capacity of what I would consider being a developer advocate, was just sort of born out of the fact that I'm already doing a lot of what in most like orgs the role would entail. I create content, I build community, I'm engaging, I do this, I do that. So I'm checking a lot of the boxes, and I see where my strengths are as something that if I was to join an org would fulfill this role. So that's why I've sort of positioned myself as that, and I'm working as a developer advocate for the tech commute for those projects. Which I think is also what has sort of aligned me with companies like Appright. I'm work for their developer advocacy, which they call heroes. So I'm an Appright hero. I think because I work at that capacity and with other companies doing projects and outreach for their products, that's why. So I do the work without having a role at an org currently, um, and that's why I sort of refer to myself as that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, a lot of people don't know that you can actually be a developer advocate without the official paper having, developer advocate as a job
Hmm.
title. Yeah, from my experience, I think I started this DevRel developer advocacy stuff in three 300 level in my university,
Mm.
where I got to manage the Microsoft community before I became the GDSC lead.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so what I have been doing since then is just to manage community, host some meetups, try to share my knowledge on tech, and try to invite other students that are well versed in tech to share their knowledge as well.
That's awesome. It's cool that you get to kind of do that at such an early stage in your career too, even just being back in university, because you get that experience, which, in this industry, experience and networking are two of the biggest things. You network your way in, and if you have that experience, oh, that's great. Good for you. Love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So now, in terms of networking, because you mentioned that networking helped you work on the project that you're currently
Mhm.
working on with Shashi, what are some platforms that you think that is good for networking, sharing content, and building collaboration?
I think all the platforms are good for their own reasons. I think it really depends on what kind of content you specifically want to do. I don't want to do a lot of really short form like TikTok stuff, right? I'll never never do that. YouTube, I think YouTube's great. You can live stream and have long form and short form content. And short form, I mean, you can describe that as anything like 30 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes, the long form. Um, Obviously, you can facilitate there too, as well as live stream. I think live streaming is really good, but I don't. Again, each company is going to be different as far as what any sort of a role expects of you. But I think it's really important to be comfortable doing them. You don't have to be Francesco level streamer. You don't have to be, Francesco level or Aaron Francis does really great content. Like they're top tier stuff. If you're at least comfortable going into something so you can say you can do it, you'll build the skill. Um, I think Twitter's great for expanding your network and interacting with people, just being able to have real time conversations and networking. I think LinkedIn's really good for the same as far as connecting with people in specific orgs that maybe you want to work with. I think it's good to do your homework. I do a lot of, if I look at a job at a company, I'll go into the people tab and then look for people that I either have some sort of a second degree or third degree connection with, or people that have messages open, and just reach out. Just outreach is so important to that kind of stuff. It's a little harder on Twitter, but you can still engage with people. And again, just aligning with people that have similar interests with you is super important. So I think, you know, Twitter's great for certain types of things. LinkedIn and YouTube, I would say, are the big three. All those other ones are sort of outliers, but I think for especially developer advocacy, you want to have a lot of decent skills as opposed to one really good one. As long as you can say, I can do this, this, and this, and this, as opposed to the one really well, I think having that well-rounded skill set is going to get you a lot further.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you on that. Yeah, that was amazing. So, have you ever live streamed?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I do Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday mornings. I'll live stream while I'm doing work. This morning I was on for my stream times vary just because I get up at 4. Usually I'm on by 4:30 at the latest 5 o'clock, but it depends on when my kid gets up because sometimes he'll get up at like 6 or 7. So I'll get anywhere from like 1 to 3 hours worth of work, and then I stream all of it. Um, and kind of interact with people that are in there, or if someone's up that is in the chat that can help me troubleshoot something. A couple weeks ago I was dealing with an issue with one of my builds, um, with the issues being pulled from the storage in AppWrite, and I had somebody that was kind of helping me figure that out, and we got pretty close. There's a couple other things that I have to work on, but even this morning I did a ticket for the Gridiron Survivor project. The title tag was never updated, so it was still saying Next.js and Vercel, so or AppWrite, and I updated that and then did the PR for it. So
yeah, wow, that's amazing. So, when you were getting started in live stream, did you face any obstacle, or how did you feel pushing out your first, starting your first live stream?
I so my background, and I know this is obviously different for everybody. Some people have a lot more apprehension with, I guess, like being in front of camera or doing things publicly. I was a little apprehensive, my first one, because I wasn't sure what I was doing. I don't have a ton of experience with live stream because film and live streaming are two completely different things. Um, I can light something and shoot something and compose a shot, as opposed to doing this and having the tools set up. So my biggest concern or stressor, which isn't even really a stressor, but was just the setup and understanding everything that's going on, because I had never really done it. And once I got that out of the way, it's been fine. I don't really have too much of an issue with this type of thing anymore, and I think everybody's capable of doing it, but everybody does it at different levels. I watch one of my favorite streamers is White Panther. Her name's Salma. Holy cow, her stream has all these cool like graphics and animations and all this stuff, and she's doing all this work, and she has two different cameras and like two different like setups. I will never get to that level, but you see what people can be capable of, but you don't need to do that. You do what you're comfortable with. I think sometimes people will look at others and then compare themselves. So I've tried to remove that from the equation and just do what I'm doing. I'm just streaming what I would do if I wasn't streaming.
Hmm. That's actually nice advice. I mean, when I started this podcast, my very first episode was a bit tricky because I was worried about my camera, I was worried about my
Mm.
internet. I didn't have great lightning. I still don't. Uh, and I'm camera shy in the sense that I have a really hard time talking in front of the camera. Then imagine talking on a live stream is like it's just very difficult for me. But I think doing what makes you comfortable and being consistent in that really helps.
I I totally agree with you, and I never would have known that those were concerns of yours because at this point I think you've done it enough that you are a little bit more comfortable. And you power through it. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And again, yeah, kudos to you. I do we do our podcast through the space. So we record our Monday space and that audio gets turned to the podcast. So I don't do this video interaction. And I think if we're just having a conversation, right? It just
Yeah.
also happens to be in front of a camera. If you take that piece of it away, it just becomes more natural again for you because yeah, it's just two people talking.
Yeah, that's true. So from your experience, what are some contents that you think that's when someone do consistently can help them build credibility, attract followers, and establish their self, especially on Twitter and LinkedIn?
Things you can do consistently. I think just building period. Consistency is like the biggest thing for so many facets. Consistency for learning is important because you have to keep adding to it or it falls off, right? So consistently learning, I think they say even if you do 5 to 10 minutes a day over the course of 365 days, like so that's every day, that puts you into a bucket that's at the highest level in the world of like people that are learning or doing things in a skill. So I think the consistency thing, and it depends on again what you want to do. Michael, that was in the chat there, he does a lot of blog posts, and he's consistently putting those out, and you can see how like the evolution of his writing skills and how they're advancing every time he posts. So if that's which I would assume that that is something that he is interested in and not just doing it. um, he's consistently doing it, so you would want to do that. Or if you do want to be a streamer and stream the content, you want to consistently do that. I think you have to figure out what it is you want to do so that you can focus on consistently doing it. Because if you're just sort of scattershotting it and doing a little, a little, a little, a little, you're never really gonna excel at something. Um, any any great any person that is really great at something will acknowledge, or historically you can see that they dedicated a lot of time to that specific thing, and that's what you have to do. um I'm trying to think specifically of another example. Yeah, just any like athletes, like Olympic caliber athletes focus on that one thing. They do it really well to be the top. Um, yeah. So I would say consistently doing that will help you build the credibility in whatever it is that you're trying to do. But you kind of have to pick what it is you want to do first.
Yeah. I think I have to agree. I have to agree because besides building credibility, it also makes you better at that thing.
Yeah.
So if you're someone that is really interested in writing blogs, the more you write, the better your content is. And yeah, that's
Yeah, consistency with anything. It's if you consistently make a specific dish when you're cooking and you start out really bad at it and you keep consistently trying it and practicing it and refining it and honing it, you're going to get better at it. And in at the same instance, if you're doing it publicly, you're posting that progression, people are going to people are going to watch that. They're going to see it, they're going to follow it, and they're going to support it too. And that's how it works together. Uh in conjunction. So,
Yeah. So we have a question from the comments.
sure.
Trust asks that how can one choose a topic or a theme to focus on?
That see that that one's that's tough to answer because I don't think that anybody can really. I don't think there's a good answer for that, and I only say that because I can't tell you or trust or anybody what to focus on. You know, because if you're doing something that ultimately you're not super interested in, you're never going to do it to the best of your ability. Like, people don't like to do stuff that they don't enjoy. Simply put, like, that's just human nature. If something is not of interest to you, you're going to find ways to avoid it. So I think it's good to initially dip your toe into a lot of things to see what you like, to see what really resonates with you. And I'll go back to Michael, who's in the comments here. I think he probably initially didn't start writing. It was probably one of many things he was doing, and he found that he was enjoying it. He was getting some traction with it. But if he hated it, he wouldn't be doing it. So I think you have to look at all these things. Try streaming. Not everybody likes doing it, and not everybody's good at it, but try it. If it's something that you do enjoy and you're getting fulfillment out of it, then do it. Life's too short to be doing stuff that we don't enjoy, you know. Um, I love talking to people and talking about things. I think that for me, it satisfies that need inside me to, like, connect people and help people. So I feel like I'm kind of getting into my area again, back to the developer advocacy thing. That's what it is. It's connecting people with products organically. I think if you do it that way, you'll always be successful at stuff. So
Hmm. Yeah, true, true, true. That is a nice tip there.
that's a
So I
sound
have,
bite. You make sure you like
yeah,
log that. That's a good clip.
yeah. So I have a question that I have been meaning to ask because I
Okay.
see your tweets and you wake up very early, like
Yeah.
4 a.m., 4:30. So please, how do you do that? Share your secrets.
So yeah, I get up every day at 4. Um on the work days I get up at 4 because I go in at 5. So that's why I'm up there. But it's just easy for me to keep it consistent, because if I was to switch my schedule, it's going to throw me off. So I just started getting up because it was also out of necessity. It's the only time that I have available to do work. Everybody's still asleep. My wife hasn't gone to work yet, and on Fridays and Saturdays, I'm here with my son. So the only time that I can sit down and focus is from like 4 to 7 on those days. So I get up. It's not easy. I don't always do it. Um, I tell people it's super easy to wake up, but the hardest part is actually getting out of bed, and you have to do it. If it's something that you are that passionate about, you find the energy to get up. You know, I think if you're getting up to go to a crappy job or to go do something that you don't want to do, you'll find the excuses to not. But I like this, and I like where it's been putting me. I have I have the motivation to get up and do it every day. Um, I would say also set a couple alarms for yourself, because that's what I do. My first alarm goes off at 4 o'clock. My goal is to be standing by 4:01. My second alarm goes off at 4:01. I have an Apple Watch, and I set them both on that so it doesn't wake my wife up. First one goes off, it vibrates on your wrist, and then, like I said, I try to get up before the next one goes off. So that's my tip. Set a little, like, challenge for yourself. Set two and try to be up before the next one. Usually it works for me 99% of the time.
Oh, nice. I think I'll have to try that tomorrow and see how that goes for me.
Yeah. Well, you check in with me because now I want to know. I'm
So
challenging you. Okay.
definitely.
All right.
Yeah. So speaking of, how do you balance maintaining an authentic online presence while presenting yourself as a professional?
Um, that's a good question. I'll go back when I was in the film industry. I had an online presence. I was on all the socials and had larger accounts than I do now. And I really just did not like the person that I evolved into. Reflecting back on having to work in the film industry and be in an industry that is just basically built around not being yourself, it I totally got absorbed into it. And that was one thing that when I decided to get back online and do these things in tech was the person that is online is the exact same person that is sitting in this chair that operates in the way that I do every day to make sure that I am authentic. I'm showing up because I thought about it. I'll be down at Render ATL in June, and I want every single person that I meet at Render ATL in June to see. Sorry, this my dog's barking in the back.
Uh,
To meet the person online that they've been interacting with and say that is the exact same person, uh, because that's who I am. I'm a little I have a bit of a potty mouth and I like to joke and shoot the crap with people and just have a good time. And um, I'm honest, like bluntly honest, because it's just who I am. And I'll be that way online. I'll be that way in person. And I think just keeping the exact same persona that's genuine to me across everything just makes it easier because then I don't have to think about, oh, well, can I do this online because is that the image I'm trying to have? No, I don't have thoughts like that anymore. I just be myself and then I can stay consistent because I don't have those thought processes at this point. Um, and then I try to carry myself in a way that I don't have to question my actions. I don't say things that I then retract or I'm afraid is going to offend anybody because I just, you know, I try to stay on the straight and narrow as far as that, so that when again businesses are interested or I'm looking for a job, there isn't anything to go back and like question. So I think just trying to stay a decent human being and stay decent to others while still staying myself is what I'm trying to do. And I would just suggest it for everybody. You see all those people with accounts that are really just there to get the engagement or um, get the followers and stuff like that. Like it's almost 1,000% fact that that person is not who they are genuinely. And I have a huge aversion to that type of stuff because it it's just it's not, I don't know. Disingenuous people really bug me, but and I think it's probably because that used to be me.
uh,
So I see it. And you see it when you've lived it and when you see how negatively it can impact you and the people around you. I think that's why it's just not happening here anymore. So it's yeah, that.
yeah, I mean, I think I have to agree with you because uh being like when you see someone that is not really their self online and connecting with them in person and it's like they are two personalities, you will not really feel the need to want to connect with them again or try to be friends with them. So yes, I have to agree with you. um People like that, they irritate me.
Yeah, it's sad too because when you kind of take the curtain away and you see either who it is. You're either disappointed by the person they are online or the person they are in person. You know, like I never want that. Like I would help somebody on the street just as much as I would help them online. I would buy a person a beer online, which I have. I have actually done that. Um, just as much as I would in person, you know, like I want that profile of the person that I am here and online to be the exact same thing. So what you see is what you get.
Yeah, and I love that. So let's go back to community and community building.
Yeah.
So, how do you maintain active involvement in online community whilst avoiding burnout and ensuring that your content or your contributions are high quality?
Oh, I none of my stuff is high quality. I think that's the secret. Um, none of my content is high quality, and that's how I keep from burning out. I try to if high quality is a 10, I keep all my stuff to a 7, and then I'm great. Now, I staying active is hard. Last week, the build up to our conference was extremely overwhelming. The Sunday following, when we got everything wrapped up on Saturday, I just like broke down. It was wildly hard. Sometimes you do have to push yourself a little bit further to achieve something great, you know. And managing, building and maintaining the involvement online. It, fortunately, I will say where I work right now, which is not a tech role, I'm there 40 hours. I'm able to be on my phone for the most part. So I get to engage with people. I think that's my one saving grace is I can sort of multitask where as some people will be working at a tech job all day and what they're doing would be distracted from if they were online and engaging and doing that. So the community I've been able to build, I've been able to do at work, and that sort of helped me from burning out from it because I'm managing that time effectively in what I'm moving forward with. Um, it's a pretty low involvement role that I'm in right now at my other job, so I don't need to be super hands on a lot. And my boss knows that I'm trying to transition into something else, which has been helpful. He's very supportive of that. Um, yeah, it's just again, it comes down to the consistency, and I don't think that anybody is um, resistant to burnout because I think all of us can. We have a different like threshold of it. So I know when mine's coming. I can see some of the signs, and I have to kind of dial back something a little bit. I think everybody has the mechanisms to counteract it, and I'm always curious as to like what people's specific tools are or things that they do. Like, what do you do if you start to feel burnout?
Uh, so when I start to feel burnout, I think I have to dial back, like reduce my workload at the moment and try not to say yes to any upcoming work, workload. And then I think I do take a day of rest. If I can't take up to a day of rest, I try
Mm.
taking 4 hours of rest or just try to not do anything related to work or tech, either see a movie or just sleep. Then when I wake up or when I'm done seeing that movie, I feel better, I feel more energized, and then I start um tackling my task for the day or for the week little by little. So if I have to write two blog posts in a week, I try to write a section of that little by little. That way, I can still maintain the high quality blogs that I write and also not pressure myself to be the best or pressure myself to chew more than I can swallow.
Yeah, I think that that's really good. I think a lot of people struggle with quitting, because they put the pressure on themselves. I think that's one thing people need, or a tool that I would really push people to try to learn, is self-awareness. Like
Mm.
knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing when too much is too much, but also knowing that you have the communication skills to, tell somebody that, like management, that you've got too much on your plate and that you need help. The self-awareness thing is very big, and I think asking for help when you need it is also really big. You know,
Yeah,
to having a team member take a little bit of the workload that might be able to help you, or again, speaking with leadership and making sure that they understand you've got too much on your plate right now, because it's detrimental. You can't, if you're not healthy or happy, you can't help the other people around you. So if you're not taking care of numero uno, you can't help all the other ones. And I think that
yeah,
that sometimes is, it goes the other way. It almost always goes the other way. You sacrifice your own health or wellness or well-being for others, and it's not selfish to take care of yourself. So,
yeah, sure. I have to agree on that. It's never selfish to take care of yourself. And when you feel like you are at the peak, you are about to burn out, please try to rest. And also
mhm.
let your lead know, your lead or your supervisor know. Because I, from my experience, when I burn out, it's very hard for me to do anything. It's very hard for me to write. It's very hard for me to code or anything. So yeah,
No, I mean, if you're super tired, it's hard to focus. If you're frustrated, it's hard to focus, and all these negative feelings counteract any sort of positive progress. So it's always important to take care of yourself.
yeah, awesome. So I have a question. How can you measure the success of your online presence? And do you have a strategy
Hmm.
as you're currently building your online presence?
I don't really have a strategy for it. I think that that's one thing. A lot of people do ask me that, actually. I don't do any of the spaces where people are trying to tell you how to get followers or be like a public like figure, because that's, I don't know, my thing is, I'm just doing this all organically. If people want to follow, cool. If they don't, I don't think that that's really any way to measure your success, though. I think that that's really an important distinction, is the followers are there to support your path, whether it's 10 people or 10,000. What does it matter? You get one positive feedback to something, like that should be what it's there for, is that follow through on what you're doing. So I don't really have like a way to measure the success, except for seeing the things that I'm trying to do work. um, Success for me was putting together a conference to help my co-host and his family last weekend, and then seeing the community come together for it. If four people showed up, still would have been successful, because the couple that showed up were supporting. We happen to get significantly more than that, and that's cool too. But as far as like success online for me is just, I guess, feeling gratified with what I'm putting out there. And again, it goes back to just being like authentic to me across the board. I'm not putting stuff up that isn't true to who I am. I'm sitting here drinking coffee and doing work in the morning. So what I talk about on my morning posts, that's just me. And if people like it, great. That's cool. Um, I think that that is important, and I don't really have a way to measure it, because I don't look at like the followers or the engagement. I shoot the shit with who I want to and hang out, and like it's cool. I get to meet people like you. Like, that's cool. So that was success for me, is we get to hang out, and now we've built a relationship, and you're part of my community, and I'm part of yours. So that's success, like building like healthy organic relationships, because I think that that is what drives good authentic business and life.
Yeah, I think I have to agree on that. Yeah. Though it can be a bit stressful when you just try to do everything organically, but just be yourself online, share your day to day. If you writing an article, share that.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
you get a coffee, share that.
Hmm.
And I feel like the more authentic you present yourself online, the more people would be willing to connect with you.
I think so too, and I like that. I think you said it can be challenging to do the organic thing sometimes, but I think it's only challenging if you set expectations. And I think that that's one thing with just being online. Obviously, you see accounts that have 200,000 followers and this, and they're working and doing they're posting these big lavish pictures of their desks or a nice car. I think when we look at those things, it's hard not to, again, like, compare our path to those. But you doing it organically and honestly, like, you can always look back at that and reflect on it and know you did right by yourself. You're not looking at those things and setting an expectation of it. Like, I honestly, I don't care how many, if everybody stopped following me today, fine. You know, like, I'm never going to change what I'm doing to try to get them back or not, because it's still authentic. It's still organic me. And knowing that I can't reach everybody is great, because I'm not trying to. And I think that that's like super important. You're going to have the community around you that is true to you and supports you, and that's not going to be everybody in the world, and that's fine. That's fine. you know don't make content to try to get to everybody. Just get to the people that are are yours, your people.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Don't try to reach everyone. 100% love
You
that.
can't, because there's just too many people in the world, and you would have to do things that aren't true to you to get it. you know and again, that goes back to what I had turned into after working in film and trying to be that, like, fake person. you know you're going to look back at that, and you're going to hate it. So if you're just doing you and connecting with the people that vibe with you, that's all you need. You're in real life, in your house, you probably can count your best friends on less than your two hands. So you're being you with them. And those are your close friends. It's the same thing with online community. You're not going to have, not everybody's going to be your best friend. So, just connect with the ones that will. It's going to be a smaller number, but whatever. Those are the real ones. So,
Hmm, that's true. That's true. That's true. So you made mention of attending Render ATL. So I just have a question regarding conferences, hackathons, and
yeah,
workshops. So how do you leverage online and offline events to connect with people?
I have not leveraged any in-person stuff yet. So I'll be going to my first two conferences this year. I have Render, and then I'll be going to that conference in Wisconsin. I've never been to a tech conference. I've never done a meetup, because when I got into tech, the whole pandemic thing was still happening, so a lot of the in-person stuff wasn't back. Um, I'm very nervous. I'm so nervous to go to Render. Um, but I was talking to Taylor Desson. I've been doing like some side work for him. He works in like recruiting and talent. Um, Great guy. But I was telling him like this is going to be my opportunity for me to show just like what we were talking about, like all these people that I've met and interact with daily on here, that the person that I am on on here is the exact same person that I am in real life. I'm excited because I think that's going to be like my opportunity to show people that I'm real. Um, so I don't have a like process or a system in place yet because I haven't really done any of the IRL stuff. So I can definitely report back to you though. It'll be
Oh, please.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I'll probably do some content too. I'm working on figuring out a couple of things to do with Francesco and Mark Thompson while I'm down there as well. So yeah, I'm very excited for it. I think doing stuff in person in your area is important because I mean, I guess let's be honest, most people aren't going to get a remote job. So I think doing the meetups locally, getting a name locally within the community is really important because you want people to think of you when a job does come up. Um, but again, you're just doing the exact same thing that you're doing online, just in person. So if you're staying true to yourself online, stay true to yourself in person, you've got this consistent footnote of who you are. It just makes it so much easier. Don't have a different personality online so that you can stay consistent and build the relationships in person the same way. Because I think a lot of people see, again, back to the online stuff and the online personas and this and that. And that's what they want. But in reality, targeting a local job that is available is probably just as easy if you build the relationships locally. So checking out meetups or any conferences, I think you where are you located?
I am located in Nigeria.
Yeah, you guys have a real big one coming up that Kelvin's putting on sales conf, I think it
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, great opportunity for everybody there to be meeting up with some other local devs and connecting. Um, I would definitely look into that.
Yeah, yeah, I think yes. I have to agree with you on the fact that building, offline connections too can help. From my experience, my first ever tech, well, not my first tech job, my first ever full-time tech job was due to the fact that someone in my community back, I think that was when I was in my fourth year in university. Someone in my community saw how I was um, active in the community, building connection, sharing my knowledge, and they referred me, and I got that full time job. So yes,
That's
building
awesome.
yeah, so building offline and online connection too can help you network your way into a job, can help you network your way into a mentorship as well.
It's so big. Your resume, like your experience or your skills, will help you in the job, but your social skills and your networking, I think personally, will help you get the job. Because
Sure.
and I did I made it to the final round of an interview for a dev job right at the beginning of the year. And the only reason that I even got that interview was because of somebody that I met on X and got all the way through, had really great feedback through the interview. But the only reason that I didn't get it was because the person that did get it had already been working in a role, so they had the experience. So it goes back to, you can get so much with who you know and how you show yourself publicly, and then you need the experience to back that up. Well, you can
True.
um yeah, so fingers crossed on the next one.
Yeah, so it seems like our time is almost up. So someone from the comments, I think I'll just ask one more question from the
Yeah, of
comments
course.
and then we wrap up. So Favor said that she's stoked in building her page, and she didn't like say what type of page. So, do you have any tips to share for her to really build her online presence in the platform?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're building a page, if it's your own personal page, make sure that the information is really easily accessible. We've done portfolio reviews. I've done them with a bunch of different people, and we've looked at a bunch of different websites. And I think the one consistent thing that people forget is that if somebody's there, they're there for a specific reason. If you sent them there, they want to see the stuff that you've worked on. You want to make the information as easy as possible to find. You see a lot of people that put really long paragraphs that involve a couple scrolls to get to the like meaty stuff where your portfolio projects are. You don't need to put a long list of all the languages you know. It's assumed through the project. So try to make it as simple and concise so people can get to the information they want, because most recruiters or HR or anybody that's interviewing you, they're going to scroll it fast. A lot of the pretty stuff really doesn't matter unless it's like a specific design job. But again, you want to put those samples in your sample work, not on your own page specifically. I would say that's my personal opinion. I think sometimes personal pages are really good to experiment with so you can learn. But if you are directing people there, make sure it's selling you. That's it.
Hmm. Thank you for that tip. I
Of
think I'll
course.
have to, yeah, I think I'll have to do that more often on my Twitter account as well.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, your online persona is what people see of you. So, what you're putting out there, you want to make sure represents you in the best way.
Awesome. So, okay, so as we wrap up, I just want to ask,
Yeah.
what should we be expecting from you for the next coming months?
Next coming months. Well, I'll be down in Atlanta for renders. So if anybody's going there, be cool to meet up. I'll be probably hanging around the app right table for a bit and just kind of floating around. I've got some interviews with some of the speakers and stuff. So I'll be streaming while I'm down there. We have more tech commute spaces on Mondays, 3:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I could not tell you who was on this coming Monday, so I apologize. I have to look at the schedule. We did just have Brian Douglas, the founder of Open Sauced, last Monday. That was a really cool conversation. So we'll have those. Then I'm speaking at that conference in July. That's in Wisconsin. I believe that's streamed as well. So that'll be cool. And yeah, so a couple like in-person events, and then I'll be on my streams Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and just hanging out. You guys can all find me on X and feel free to reach out.
Yeah, please. Jason is an amazing guy. He's always willing to help. So if you have
Thank
any, yeah, so if you have any question, do well to reach out to him.
you. Hell yeah.
So before I officially end the stream, do you have any last word for the audience or for anyone that is currently struggling in building their online presence or in networking?
Yeah. Don't overthink it. That's it. As humans, and especially as developers, we overcomplicate everything. And don't overcomplicate it. Just go on, be you. The people that want to see what you're doing will, and that'll resonate enough. Just be you. Um, I think that's it, and just don't be an asshole. Pardon my language.
Also,
That's
well,
all I got
thank you
for you.
very much. And that is amazing. So thank you for joining us today. And
Mhm.
I really liked this episode, and I did learn a lot. So I hope that in the future we can collaborate again.
Hell yeah, I would love to. I had a great time talking to you, and anybody that's not following you, which I don't know how they'd be here if they don't. Make sure you go follow Sophia as well. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm really honored that you had me.
Thank you. So, guys, our next episode will be on technical writing and how to create an engaging content.
Hmm.
That would be on 14th of May. That should either be on a Monday or Tuesday. Sometimes I lose track of time. So
You and me both.
yeah. So you can decide to subscribe to this channel and get notified when we go live in 2 weeks, or just follow me and I would be sharing when I go live next time. So if you actually have a topic in mind that you would love us to cover, or have any guests that you want us to invite, you can leave it in the comments, or you can send me a DM on Sophia. You can send me a DM on Twitter, and I will try as much as possible, or as humanly as possible, to get the person here. So thank you, Jason, once again for hopping here, and thank you for sharing your 2 cents on this topic.
Thank you so much, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I look forward to your next one.
All right. Bye.